Please welcome Caitlin Stubner of Songtrust. Take it away, Caitlin.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here today. The title of our webinar is called The Publishing Hustle Strategy, Admin, and Co-Writing. Uh, Becca Ray Green and Regan Stewart are here with me today. We are all in Nashville, and so we are going to talk about songwriting and co-writing, the strategy behind it, and why you need a great publishing administrator to make sure that your career is on track to make all of the money that you collect from all of your amazing songs. Um, and we will talk generally about songwriting, but we might sprinkle in some Nashville tidbits today. So, to begin, my name is Caitlin Stubner. I'm the head of Songtrust, which is a downtown music and Virgin music company. Songtrust was the first of its kind and the largest best-in-class global publishing administrator in the world, and we ensure that songwriters and rights holders collect all of the royalties that they've earned worldwide. This means international streams to mechanical royalties to sync placements. We make sure every usage of a song is accounted for and you get paid quickly. So, enough about me. I would really, really love to introduce my two co-hosts today, Becca Ray Green and Regan Stewart. And I'll have Becca Ray introduce herself first, and then we'll move on to Regan.
Hey, I'm Becca Ray. I moved to Nashville in June of 2019 from Southern Pines, North Carolina. Um, I am a wife and a mama to two little girls. They're big girls now, actually, and a full-time songwriter in Nashville.
Amazing. Regan.
Yeah, I'm Regan Stewart. I moved to Nashville in 2014 from Auburn, Alabama. And yeah, I've just been here ever since, just writing songs, and I wait tables on the side to, provide extra income.
Great. Um, Putting the hustle in the into the writing hustle. Cool. Okay, so to start, I want to zoom out and talk about both of your upbringings and how you became songwriters, if that's okay. Um, I recently watched the New York Times Taylor Swift interview. I don't know if anyone else on here has seen it,
So mention.
but it was really interesting to listen to her talk about moving to Nashville, Music Row, getting into those writer rooms and what it was like for her. And I'm not gonna steal their format, but I really did like the way that they started at the beginning. So to start, I would love to know at what age did you write your first song? And we can start with Becca and then we'll go to Regan and then I'll switch it up as we move along. But Becca Ray, why don't you take that first question?
I grew up singing covers. I only like ever wrote songs by myself, like alone in my bedroom. I would say like the first like real song, like legitimate song, I probably wrote when I was 18 because I started playing guitar at 18. And so at that point, I could like more than just singing a poem or whatever, I could put chords to it and play it on guitar and make it like a real song. So I would say like probably 18 for like original songs. Um, and I didn't really know for a long time that I could just be a songwriter. It wasn't until um, after my girls were born, it was probably like 2014. I was just really like tired because cover gigs are like 9 p.m. to midnight. And my kids would be up, the baby would get up at 1 a.m. and they'd both be up and ready for the day at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And so at that point, I remember talking to my husband and saying, like, I don't know how to do both. Like, I have to make music or I'm not myself. But I also have to take care of these kids. And he was like, I think you should do something with those originals that you're writing. Like, your original songs are like worth investing time and energy in. I just didn't really know how to do that. And then he found an article about song suffragettes, which is wild because at the time, Regan Stewart was a part of Song Suffragettes. And watching song suffragettes videos on YouTube made me like realize like, oh, if I just write the songs and I do these writers rounds and these, if I just became the songwriter, I could do both, make music and be a present mom. So it's kind of how I got into
it. Yeah. What do you remember the title of your first song that you ever wrote?
I don't. Like, I feel like 18, you just feel everything all the time. So I was just like all kinds of crappy songs.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Great. Okay, so Regan, what age did you write your first song?
So I used to have this big stereo in my room, and I had like all these CDs in the CD book. I used to just like play like the Dixie Chicks and Brooks and Dunn, all this stuff, and I would like read the pamphlets, like the song lyrics and stuff. But I didn't know songwriting was a thing. So I guess I don't know if I just like didn't realize there were people's names on there. I don't know, but I started writing a little bit when I was like 8 years old, just like I would go through something at school and then write a feeling down, but it wasn't like a complete song. And then when I was 16, I remember I was in driver's ed class and I was sitting behind this girl that was a friend of mine. And I remember I tapped her on the shoulder. I was writing a song in class and I tapped her on the shoulder. And I remember saying, I just finished, I wrote a full song, BT Dubs. And I remember that moment. So I would say 16 was like the complete full song. But when I was 8, you dabble in like little things. But
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of inspiration in high school. You were probably like really feeling it. You
oh
needed
yeah,
to get it
I
down.
remember the title of the song was called The Fair, and it was about like falling in love with a boy at the fair and like, standing in line and like looking at each other and like holding hands. And did that ever happen to me? No, but that was what I wanted to happen.
Amazing inspo. You were
Yeah,
manifesting.
I was, yeah.
Okay, great. So, okay, that kind of brings me to my next question. Can you tell me about how you both moved to Nashville, why you decided to move to Nashville, and was that the moment you decided you were going to be a songwriter, or how did you decide like songwriter is my title?
Becca, you want to go first? You want me to take it?
You go first.
Okay. When I was in college and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I majored in communication and was like, what are things that I can do with this degree? I love talking to people. I made music on the side just for fun, but didn't really share it. And so I interned at a radio station my junior year of college because I was like, maybe I could work at a radio station. And I was in school in Minneapolis at the time. There's a radio station up there called KDWB, and it's a pop station. And the country station is in the same building. And they came to all of us. There were 10 of us as interns, and they were like, hey, there's a girl doing her radio tour, and we need extra bodies in the room. So would y'all like free pizza? You can sit in the back, just listen. And we were like, yeah, free pizza, let's go. So we sat in the back, and it was an artist named Morgan Fraser. She started like telling the stories behind her songs. Um, it was like honestly like a writer's round kind of format. And I had one of those like aha moments. I started crying while I was sitting there eating pizza because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a thing. This is what I want to do. How do I do this? And that moment kind of, I ended up graduating. I asked everybody, like, how do I do this? Everyone said, oh, you got to move to Nashville. So that kind of like inspired me to make the move just to like learn about, I was like, I just want to like learn about this because it seems really awesome. And then once I moved here, I was like, oh no, I'm stuck. This is like where I'm staying. So
I love that.
yeah.
Becca.
Okay, so I mentioned that like I was trying to figure out how to get out of cover gigs, and my husband discovered Song Suffragettes, and I like went down this whole rabbit hole on the internet watching all these Song Suffragettes videos, and that was sort of my light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I think I could do this. And so I went to our local theater in Southern Pines, North Carolina, which is called the Sunrise Theater. And I essentially pitched them the idea of hosting a writer's round. And I was like, if I find all the talent and it's all original music and we tell the stories behind the songs and it's a ticketed event where people are actually like here to listen to original music, not just like the cover scene at the bars. Would you let me do this show here at the theater? And they were like, yeah, I mean, if you find all the artists and you do all the marketing and all the promotion, go ahead. And so I put on a show at the Sunrise Theater and it did really, really well. And the first time we ever did the show, the theater came to me afterwards and they're like, this was awesome. Like, you should do this twice a year, every year, and just bring different artists. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. So I built that songwriters show in Southern Pines. And then other like small seating theaters around the state of North Carolina started reaching out to me and being like, hey, can you come do that show in Raleigh? Can you come do that show in Greensboro? And so the show kind of like spread organically. And it was awesome because I was meeting all these other like local songwriters in North Carolina. People were coming out of the woodwork and being like, I'm a kindergarten teacher by day, but I'm writing songs at home at night. Can I come play one of your shows? And I was like, yeah, like, let's do this thing. And so like years went by me doing that, just hosting songwriter shows in North Carolina and kind of feeling like I was doing the thing. And then I had a meeting with a theater director in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I was presenting my whole spiel. This is how I find the artist. Here's how I market, promote it, whatever. And she's like, stop. She's like, you said you're a country music songwriter? I was like, yeah. She was like, what are you doing in Southern Pines? And I was like, well, that's where we live. My husband works right there and the kids go to school over there. And like, what are you talking about? And she was like, if you actually want to do this for real, you have to move to Nashville and you have to go 1,000% in the direction of that dream, or it's never going to happen for you. And you're just going to be this like soccer mom playing songwriter on the weekends. And I was like devastated. But at the same time, like I cried the whole hour drive home and told my husband, like, I hate the way that I feel right now, but I think like on some level she's right. And if we don't like move to Nashville and I don't go 1,000% in the direction of this dream, like it's never going to happen. And so my husband's awesome. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's find a way. Let's figure it out. And 2 years later, we moved to Nashville.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your title became songwriter.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Always soccer mom on the weekends.
Okay, so I think it's important to talk, like my husband and I do this on vacation, like at the end, we do the like your high and your low from the week. I do think it's important to talk about like the highs and the lows of being a working musician, the hustle of writing songs, um, and what it's like to actually work in Nashville and, in the music industry broadly. So we'll start with Regan and we'll go highs first and then we'll do lows. Hopefully they'll be a little funny, but they can also be really low if you want them to be. But I'd love to hear so far what has been your favorite high in your career as a songwriter. And then we'll go to your favorite low.
Favorite high would be, favorite high would be when I first moved to town, one of the first shows I played was the Bluebird. I played the open mic night. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but like the process to host your own Bluebird round is very tough.
Yeah.
And that was like I like made a goal once I got here. I was like, okay, I want to play the listening room. I want to play this. I want to write with these people. I want to, you make your like dream thing of like, okay, these are the things I want to reach. And hosting my own Bluebird round was that one of those. And I hosted my first one last year or the year before. But and I got to play with all my friends and we played all of our original music. And I don't know, that's just like, it's sentimental to me because it's a reminder that like you can get a hold or a cut or whatever, and then things happen and then you always look for the next big thing. But that's kind of like a reminder to younger Regan that when you feel like you haven't done anything, like you have, and you have like you are talented, like sometimes you need to hear those things. So
yeah,
that's probably my high. My low would be last year I had like 3 songs on hold and none of them got cut. But I was like proud. I was like, okay, crap, this is like what every songwriter feels like in town. So this is very good to know. Probably also a low is like realizing, I'll say a low is also, I have a friend who has had like number one songs and is super talented. She's like an incredible writer. She's had multiple publishing deals. She's had songs on the radio. And she goes like she has moments where she doesn't have a publishing deal. She has moments where she's in between and she's still hustling and she's still grinding and she's not in her 20s. And um I've learned that like if you want to do this as your career, like there's never going to be a moment where you're like, okay, cool. I'm like settled. I like I can relax now. I can chill. It's usually like the love of the hustle.
Yeah.
Um, and it could be a low, but I mean that's also a high if you like to challenge yourself. I think it's a low and a high for me. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Becca.
I think for sure my favorite high was when Fix You 2 came out, the duet on the Lucky Deluxe album, because it was my first major label cut.
Wait,
It
say who sang that.
Megan Maroney. I wrote it with Megan and with another friend of ours, Adam Wheeler. And Megan had put it out as a single and it didn't really do anything. And so it was just kind of one of those like, yay! Oh, okay, nothing. And then she believed in that song and she didn't give up on it and she still loved it and felt like it didn't have like its moment yet. So she recut it as a duet with Cameron Marlowe and put it on her Lucky Deluxe album, which was a huge, huge deal for me and for Adam. And it was obviously like one of those like, holy crap, this is what we work every single day and hope and pray for. But to me, like besides the fact that it was like a career goal reached, my husband, the day that it came out, was like, hey, we need to like really celebrate this moment. And so he went to Publix and he got a red velvet cake and he got a bottle of champagne. And my favorite memory since moving to town is sitting in the living room with my husband and my two daughters and listening to Fix You 2 like on highway on Sirius XM on his phone and eating red velvet cake and drinking champagne and just being like, we did it. Like we did it.
That's
So
great.
that was my favorite high, like by far.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge deal.
And then for like favorite low, I think when you first get to town, or for me for sure, when I first got to town in 2019, I was like fired up and ready to go to every single writers round, ready to go to every single show, every event. I wanted to like meet everyone I possibly could and write with everyone I could and just like dive right in. But going to shows and networking events and writers rounds by yourself alone when you first get here is so hard. And you just feel like awkward and uncomfortable. And it feels like everyone else already has their friend group and everybody else already has their cliques. And like just getting yourself like comfortable with being uncomfortable is a whole thing. And I'm grateful that I like made it through that year and like I have friends and I don't have to go to stuff alone anymore. But I also think it's like important whenever I talk to either younger songwriters or songwriters that just moved to town and they're like, I want to go to the show, but like I don't want to go by myself. I'm like, yeah, you kind of have to. You have to go by yourself and you have to meet people and talk to people that you don't know and it's gonna suck sometimes, but like that's how this whole thing works. It's like make yourself uncomfortable. You can't grow unless you're uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good segue into my next question because both of you said this in different ways, but like Regan, you said that when you moved to town, you had a list of things, like a list of accomplishments, like the people you wanted to write with, the rooms you wanted to play in. And Becca Ray, you said the same thing, but in a different way. You were like, there's a bunch of listening rooms I want to go to. There's a bunch of events. There's a, song stuff for Jets I want to get in there. So just like logistically, like honestly, I think something that's hard for people is when you move to town or when you get started in something that you've decided you want to pursue, like songwriting, it's how do you meet the people that you need to meet? And I don't want to say like the right people, but we'll say like, how do you meet the right people to write with? Like, what did you guys do?
Do you want to go, Reagan, or do you want me to go?
You got it. I'll go after you.
I went to every writer's round that I could find. So, like, when I first got to town, I knew that the listening room existed because I had found Song Suffragettes. And so the first thing I did, like night one, was go to the listening room and go see Song Suffragettes. And I just asked other people at the show, like, where else do you go to writers' rounds at? And someone was like, oh, how long you been in town? And I was like, I just got here today, and they were like, oh, you should go to Belcourt. And so, like, they sent me to Belcourt Taps. And I met tons of writers that had just moved to town in the same year or so. And then I asked them, like, where else do you go? It's just like word of mouth. And so then they started telling me about different rounds. And the thing that was a game changer for me personally was when somebody said, have you ever been to Revival? And I was like, no, what's that? And they were like, every Tuesday at Tin Roof. And I remember they said to me, but those people are like serious about songwriting. And I was like, well, so am I. And so I went to Revival at Tin Roof, and that really did change my life. I met all of my best friends in town at Revival. I met all my favorite co-writers at Revival. It changed the way I thought about songwriting. It changed the way I thought about the town. I met Regan at Revival. I met like everything for me really did start at Revival. And so I think it's just like going to as many different shows and events and rounds as you can and figuring out where like your style fits the most. Like that was what worked for me, but there's other writers that found their people at the local or found their people at Belcourt or whatever. You just have to keep going until you find people that you're like, oh, I get what you do and you get what I do and this makes sense.
Yeah. Regan.
I agree. I think it's one thing to go to other writers' rounds and like watch other people play. Sometimes I feel like people do that. Like I did this a time or two where like you go and they're just like on a different, like they've been here 5 years and I had just shown up and those weren't the people that it was necessarily time for me to meet. And so I was like, okay, where can I go? I played like an open mic night um, at the Commodore Grill where open mic starts at like 11 p.m. You get to play one song. You get on stage, you sing your one song, but she puts you up there with other people that sing one song. And those were like the first people I started writing with because they had just gotten to town. They didn't really know anybody. So they were just as eager to meet me as I was them. And I think what's cool about this town is like you evolve. So like I started writing with all of those people I met. And then I joined NSAI. NSAI is where I met a ton of people. Because I went to they had like a taco night that they would throw where you just go and get free tacos and then you get to meet all these writers. They had the pitch meetings. I would write at the writing rooms and then I would see everybody else writing and I would introduce myself to all those people. But what's cool about the town, I feel like, is like the longer you stay, like some of those people have left. Some of those people I played around with, but then like someone else would play after me and then I would introduce myself. And the longer you stay, you kind of like, you learn who you write well with. Like one of my friends, we don't actually write super well together, but we're still friends, but we met in those first stages of me being here. Whereas like Becca Ray, I met after years of being here, but we write really well together. So it's just, you learn more about yourself as a writer. And then, I don't know, does that make any sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think that the general gist of what you guys are saying is putting yourself out there, going to as many things to, I hate the word network, but basically putting yourself out there to meet people that
Yeah.
will help you or you can help them.
Meet as many as meet everybody,
Yeah. Yeah, and be open to that. I also love that you said, one of my best friends, like we don't write that well together. And that's important too. Like I've heard from so many people, like I was so excited to work with this person, and we got in the room and it was just awkward. And you're like, that's okay because you're making art. So it's okay if it's not like the perfect fit. Um, but I think that that's really helpful and it's tangible. It's like Revival, Song Suffragettes, NSAI, like all of those things are at everyone's disposal. Anyone can go to them. So I love that. Thanks, you guys. So you two met at Revival, as Becca Ray said, and you co-write together a lot.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you guys have a favorite line from a song you wrote together?
I do for sure. We have a song that we wrote, me, Regan, and one of our other best friends, Davis Corley, and it's about a town in North Carolina, Rockingham. And there's a line in that song about Rockingham that just says, "The former pride of Richmond County sure feels lonely now." And I feel like it's just a cool like summary of the whole song. Um, and I just love that line every time I sing it, every time I deliver it. I'm like, yeah, we did it. This is a good one.
That feels good. Reagan, do you have one?
Yes, my favorite song that we've ever written is "You Should See the Other Girl."
Oh, I love that song.
Becca came up with that title. And in the it's obviously not about people actually fighting, but we put this song, we put the line in, yeah, that sweet smile like feels like a sucker punch. Um, and I don't know, I just like songs where I don't know, I'm a punny girl. So like anything that's like punny or like you think that we're talking about someone that's fighting, but we're not. We're talking about this girl getting her heart broken into because she sees a girl walking with her boy and how his smile feels like a sucker punch. I'm like, I feel that. I've felt that feeling before, you know?
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so nuts and bolts. Nashville's a little different than a lot of cities for songwriters, but do you guys ever get in rooms and after you're done working, do you talk about split percentages? Like, how do you get down to what comes next? Do you ever talk about that?
I
I feel
think
like we're
people,
lucky in Nashville because we don't ever have to. The Nashville like unwritten but like like widely accepted rule is that if there's two people in the room, it's 50% each. If there's three people, it's 33.33% each. It's just an even split. If there's four people, you each get 25%. We don't have to fight over it. We don't have to prove what we contributed. Like that's just like the way songwriting is done in Nashville. So it makes it nice. We don't really ever have to do that.
That is really nice.
also, it doesn't make you feel bad about, like, for the people that do percentages, I think that that would bring a lot more pressure to the day because you're like, okay, crap, like I gotta, not that you, everybody has their day where they're like not on or somebody's on a roll and their mind's open and they're just like rambling and you're like, okay, you're on a roll. I'm just gonna, you know, I'll think of some melodies over here. I'll just like type this out. I feel like everybody has their on day or their off day. So knowing that the percentages are all equal, you know, like if I'm in the room with you, we're just as like both of us deserve to be in this room.
Yeah.
So if the percentages are equal, I think is easier for me to walk in that room.
Yeah. How do you approach a write? Like, do you come in with ideas in your phone? Like, or are you often just coming in like loose, like ready for whatever?
No, we're ideas in our phone, girls.
Are you?
Yeah. Like a lot of ideas in our phones. Yeah.
How do you keep track of all your ideas?
I just like have the notes. Becca is more organized than me, but I just have the notes app and I just write everything. Sometimes I have like I do like come up with random melodies, so I'll just like voice memo a random melody and then might play it, but for the most part it's like a title or like a chorus that I've kind of thought through. What about you, Becca?
Yeah, I mean, Reagan already knows all of my secrets, but I have like a ridiculous amount of lists of uh, song ideas, titles, thoughts, whatever in my notes on my phone. And then because I have kids and I have to get up with them every morning at 6:30 in Nashville, we don't start writing until 11 a.m. And so when my kids get on the bus at 7, I have many hours before I have to leave the house to go meet my co-writer. So I will go through my notes on my phone and like think about like if it's me and Reagan writing that day, like, okay, I know I need a song for a girl artist. I know that she's mainstream country. So I'll look through all of my ideas and figure out what would work well for this artist or for this room. And I'll pick two or three of those ideas or titles or whatever and then flesh them out. So I'll like open up a doc on my computer and just sort of play through something that could either be a verse or a chorus or something so that when we walk in the room, if the artist is like, I've written a freaking new song every day for the last 12 days, I'm totally out of ideas. I'm like, no worries, I got you. Do you like any of this? and I can throw out 2 or 3 ideas that are a little bit more fleshed out than just this is a song about a truck, you know.
Becca will come in with a whole song, and then she'll be like, "What do you think about?" And it's like she's already written the whole song, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
No, I feel like
Yes, so one thing I do think that is like I've learned throughout the writing process is like when you show up, if you want people to respect you more, you come to the room with ideas, or you come to the room at least with like something. Because if you come into the room and you're like, "Man, I've been writing a lot," they're like, "Okay, awesome, me too." And you're like, "I have nothing to bring to the table," and they're like, "Okay." I don't know. I think it's like even if it's just like a title or a thought, like I watched this movie the other day. I really like this emotion that this character does with this character. I would like to write a song about that. Even like that is something to work off of. But when you come into the room and you have nothing,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it kind of stalls it takes up some of the excitement for the day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So you're both independent songwriters, and obviously you work with Songtrust. But I would love to talk to you about how you decided that you needed a publishing administrator and what made you decide that Songtrust was a good fit for you.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yes. So when that Megan Maroney and Cameron Marlowe duet came out, I assumed wrongly that if I had a PRO in the MLC and Harry Fox, that I was collecting everything royalties wise. And then I went to like a panel event at the MLC in Nashville, and they were talking about royalties collection, and they had this like slide up on like a projector screen, and it said something about like collection in like US, Canada, and Mexico or something. And I remember being a little bit confused and like raising my hand and being like, well, what about like royalties from like streams or performances or whatever in like Europe or Australia or whatever? And the moderator of the panel was like, oh, if you're an independent songwriter, you don't need to worry about that. And I was like, but what if I have a cut with Megan Maroney on a major label record? And he was like, oh, we should talk after this panel. And so I started to like ask a lot of questions. I met with that fellow from the MLC who was very kind and very helpful. And he also introduced me to some other people in Nashville that I could pick their brains and ask them questions. I started meeting with a bunch of different people to try to figure out like, oh crap, how much of my money have I not collected? Am I not collecting? How much is out there? And then eventually I sat down with my friend Samantha Fisher, and I was like, help me figure all this out. I'm figuring it out piece by piece, little by little, by asking different people different questions and trying to make sense of it all. And she was like, stop all of this stuff that you're doing and just get Songtrust. And I was like, well, why? Like, how do I know like that's the one, you know? And she was like, it's a one-time fee. You can have a lifetime representation with or relationship with them. And she was like, they only take whatever it is. I think it's 18% total. And she's like, and they collect from everywhere globally forever. And I was like, okay. And she had a really good experience working with Songtrust for like years when she was doing admin at Sony. And so I was like, man, if she was doing admin at like this big company and she had a good positive experience, like, I don't know, it felt like a referral I could really trust. So then I was really, my only question mark, honestly, about Songtrust was like, well, what if it's like this big faraway computer company idea, but I can't really ever talk to somebody. And so I was like super stoked to find out that you, Caitlin, are here in Nashville, and you introduced me to Raleigh. I think I met Raleigh through you. And so like knowing that there was boots on the ground in Nashville, there was an actual person, a human I could talk to if I had questions or problems. I was like, dang, sold. Let's go. I should have done this earlier.
Great. That's a really good overview. We were talking earlier before the webinar just about how confusing it can be. And I feel like you just explained what everybody needs to hear. Right, Regan, do you have anything to add?
I'll just add, I feel like creative people, like when you come to town, they tell you have to do like you're told you have to do everything when you're independent. And my brain is like taxes for me. That's not my brain. My
Yeah.
brain does not do that. It like shuts off. And so you come to town and you're like, okay, cool. I have to like be creative, write a song, and then figure out how to get the money, and then do this, and then email these people. And certain things might be in your wheelhouse, and then certain things might not be. And when you go to like seminars like that, it just makes me more confused, and I didn't really know what to do. But then you make friends like Becca Ray, and she understands she understands it all. So I just think it's like encouraging to know that there are people in town that do like are good at that side of their brain, like that do have the answers to those questions, and to find them, because ultimately if you want to make money in this town, you got to figure that out, you know. So
For sure. Yeah. Okay. So I just got the heads up that we're wrapping up soon. So I just have one last question, but you both have to answer it separately. What were you listening to in your car while you were driving here today? I want to know what's on your playlist as of late.
I can tell you. I know what I was listening to. Becca Ray.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm one of those people that like listens to a song, is obsessed with it, and then plays it over and over again in her car. Don't love that I'm that person. But there's a new what's his name? Ethan Burdick. Do you know him?
No.
So he just got signed. I think he's signed to Backblocks in town. But he has a song called I Get the Picture. And I think I am responsible for all of his strings. So
Amazing.
It's funny. I love the new Carter Faith project. I said new, even though it's probably been out for a year now, but that Carter Faith Cherry
good.
the album, masterpiece. Can't get enough of it.
Fun. All right. This is great. Um, okay, we'll wait for a couple Q&As if anybody has anything. Um, and then yeah, we can wrap up. But this was so nice. Do you guys have any questions for me? No, I'm just kidding.
You come up with some.
No. It's so fun to talk about songwriting and just the process, and I don't know. We obviously love songs, all of us here, and publishing is such an amazing part of the music industry, but it is just so nice to talk to songwriters, and it's been so nice to talk to you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
And
All
thank you, Caitlin, Becca Ray, and Reagan for joining us today. Really appreciate y'all sharing your time and your stories to give us a sense of just kind of what your life as songwriters is like and how Songtrust helps with that process. Really excited to have you all here. And thank you, folks, for being here with us today. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. We do have one that just came in. So any more, please feel free to drop them in, or else we'll keep the conversation going. Andrea asks, are there any administrative areas of running your career that you find burdensome that Songtrust may not fully cover?
Mm.
Um, I don't know if this is a good answer for that question or not, but I am a control freak, and so it's hard for me to get used to registering. Like when a song comes out, like for example, I have a song coming out tomorrow that I wrote with an artist, and my instinct is to go to every single one of my accounts and register all the information with all of the accounts, like my PRO, the MLC, Harry Fox, and Songtrust, because that's what I know to do. And so when I met with Caitlin and Raleigh maybe a year or so ago, they were like, stop doing that, crazy lady, and just register it once with us and let us take it from there. And that is hard for me because it just like, uh, the part of me that's like, I want to make sure it's done and it's done my way and it's done correctly. Had to like kind of let that go and just be like, I have to trust that this company's going to take good care of me and just register with them.
Songtrust.
Did you just say put the trust in Songtrust? Who's a songwriter? Um, yeah, Becca Ray, though, one thing that I've been thinking about, just Andrea, to your question, is something that we talk a lot about is just how you organize all of your songs. Because the ones that are not yet cut, you need to have some sort of like filing system, basically. And some people use Disco. There used to be a company called Songspace that's no longer available, but a lot of people in Nashville used that. Um,
Can I chime into that?
Please.
Um, I didn't used to do that. And I had a friend that told me how important that was because she was like, let's say you sign a publishing deal at one point. How are you going to show them your Schedule A? Like, how are you going to deliver your songs? Or if someone cuts a song from 7 years ago, how are you going to pull it up? I honestly just have like, this might not be the smartest, but I like have an Excel spreadsheet for each year. And each year I just put like in alphabetical order, like the titles of the songs, all the co-writers, um, the date of creation. What else do I put? If they have publishers at the time, who their publishers are, like my co-writers. And there's a folder for that, and then there's a folder for the work tape
Yep.
based off of the year, and then a folder for the demos. And I feel like you get behind in that, but like it's like when I'm behind, I'm like, okay, I need to catch up on this because at the time, like there'll be a time where this will be super helpful, you know.
Yes. That's a great system. I hope that helps, Andrea.
You got a thank you from Andrea, so that sounds like it did.
Good.
Allegra writes in and asks, I interviewed a new artist recently and they wanted me to showcase their music. At the time, she didn't have them copyrighted. In the meantime, is a poor man's copyright suffice until she gets her house in order. What are the exact steps for her if she doesn't have her music release, if she does not have released published music? Sorry, I butchered through.
No, I mean, so this is a great question. What Regan just laid out is, I would say, the poor man's copyright, which is she wrote down date of creation, who she wrote the song with, and has the demo tapes. And that isn't registered with the um, office, but it is written down somewhere. So to her question about the poor man's copyright, that is that. Um, and hopefully she has that written down somewhere. As far as getting her music released, it just depends on who you want to work with. We have some great companies within the downtown network and Virgin network that are awesome distributors. Like you could check out CD Baby or DistroKid. Um, and then if you want to go more of a label route, we have Downtown Artisan Label Services. Um, and all of those are, something that you can check out to make sure that her music gets released. And on the publishing side, sign up for Songtrust.
Thanks so much, Caitlin. Looks like we don't have any other questions at this point, folks. If you've got them, now is the time. But again, I'll just take this moment to thank Caitlin and Songtrust for organizing today's webinar. Becca, Ray, and Regan, thank you for so much for joining us today and sharing your stories with us. Folks, we really appreciate you being here to attend today's webinar. Hope to see you at Music Biz 2026 in Atlanta in a couple of days. Hope to see you at future virtual events that Music Biz is hosting. And until then, we hope you have a great rest of your day and week.
Thanks.